baby.
Enjoy this great game.
Welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel, and today we have a special snubs video, and we're not talking about the all-time Hall of Fame snubs in this one, rather the 2023 MLB All-Star snubs, as the All-Star rosters have been released, and congratulations to the players who made the team. And bear in mind, changes can still happen due to injury, so some of these snubs might actually end up on the All-Star team anyway, but for the moment, there are some glaring omissions from these all-star rosters. And before we get into the snubs and look at who made the team and who didn't, today's video is brought to you by our friends over at FOCO, who have just released their annual All-Star Bobbles on Parade bobbleheads, featuring a commemorative bobblehead from all 30 teams, which include, of course, the San Francisco Giants. And they feature official All-Star Game logos and are officially licensed bobbles positioned atop an All-Star Game themed base with the famous Space Needle next to them to reflect the setting of this year's All-Star Game in Seattle. Each bobblehead is handcrafted and hand-painted, so no two are exactly the same, and they are a limited edition, moving quick. Mine is on the way, so check out the description for more information, including a link to FOCO, where these baubles are currently available, just released a few hours ago, so go check that out. And thank you, FOCO. On to the snubs, and we're going to rank 10 players who were snubbed from this year's All-Star teams, and this will include 5 from each league, 5 from the AL, 5 from the NL. And before getting into it, let's look at the rosters, and we can see the American League roster right here. And there's already been a couple changes. Unable to play are Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, Yordan Alvarez, and Shane McClanahan. And the injuries to Judge and Trout is a real hit for the All-Star game, not to mention a major setback for both the Yankees and Angels. But to replace these 4 players, Wander Franco, Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, and George Kirby have been added to the team. And Wander Franco would have been a major snub, but since he is officially on the roster now, he is an all-star. And as far as the National League goes, here it is. The San Francisco Giants were on a roll, moving into a playoff spot just as these rosters were announced, and the fans, including myself, were disappointed but not surprised that just one Giant made the team, but he was certainly deserving, and that is, of course, Camilo Doval. Another team that really got snubbed and we'll be talking about is the Reds. And so far, the only change has been the Pirates closer, David Bednar, replacing Clayton Kershaw. So the roster looks solid at first glance, but there are some omissions, and we're about to get to them. So let's get started now with my top 10 snubs. And I understand that each team has to have one player represent them, and the selection process involves fans, players, and the commissioner's office and coaches, and so the roster is never going to be perfect. So this video is not necessarily to complain about it, although I do have a few gripes, but it's mainly to give credit to some of these players who I genuinely believe had fantastic first halves and unfortunately got snubbed from the game. But let's start with a few honorable mentions before getting to the main list. We have Blake Snell, who is no stranger to getting snubbed from an all-star team. John Gray, who has a 3.29 ERA for Texas through 16 starts. Andrew McCutchen, a former MVP who hasn't made an all-star team since 2015, but he's having a resurgence this year for the Pirates, and it would have been so awesome to see him on the all-star team. You have Patrick Bailey, a Giants rookie who got a late start to the year, but he's hitting .302 with 5 bombs in his first 37 MLB games. And then Alex Verdugo, who is in the top 10 in doubles and triples. He's hitting .284 with an OPS north of 800. You have Jason Foley, who's been lights out of the bullpen for Detroit. And I got to mention my man, Tyler Rogers, who has a 1.83 ERA coming out of the bullpen for San Francisco. And I'll also mention a few honorable mentions throughout the list as I think of them. But let's get into the top 10. At number 10, Josh Lowe, Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays already have 3 representatives who are all deserving: Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena, and Wander Franco, who I mentioned as a replacement, but at least he made it. But Josh Lowe is having a great year after a rough 2022. Rays fans wanted him out of there, yet he worked on his swing and his selection process, and he has improved dramatically. Lowe is hitting .281 with 12 homers and 48 runs driven in, and he has a shot to drive in over 100 runs runs this year. He is one of just 7 players in the league with 10 homers and 15 steals. Number 9, Lamonte Wade Jr., San Francisco Giants. You knew there was going to be at least one Giant on the list, and there are others who I want to mention as well. Thairo Estrada, Logan Webb, J.D. Davis, but it's been Wade Jr. who has been driving the offense all season long, getting on base with ridiculous frequency, and in the entire National League, only Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna Jr. have a better on-base percentage. Wade has maintained a batting average around 280 and is on pace to hit about 20 homers this year. Now, I'm not saying he should have made it over Freddie Freeman, but other than home runs, he's been better than Matt Olson. And do we really need 8 Atlanta Braves? Number 8, Brandon Nimmo, New York Mets. Nimmo already has 13 bombs this year, the most he's ever had at an All-Star break, and he has maintained a .368 on-base percentage while playing incredible defense. He currently has a 2.2 WAR, and we're still in the first half. So even though the Mets have underperformed, to say the least, that can't really be blamed on Nimmo, and he has arguably been better than Pete Alonso, the sole representative of the Mets this year. Alonso's hitting just .218 with a WAR of 1.8, but his 26 bombs propelled him onto the roster, understandably so, since he's on a pace for over 50 home runs. But Nimmo has been the better all-around player in my opinion, and it's amazing that he has still not made an MLB All-Star team. And by the way, another possible snub who just crossed my mind is Tommy Pham, who is having a great first half for the Mets. Number 7, Spencer Steer, Cincinnati Reds. While the Giants definitely got screwed this year as far as All-Star representation, the Reds might have got it even worse. And Spencer Steer is the first of 2 Reds in my top 10, and another who I should mention is TJ Friedl, who's hitting .309. But as for Steer, he has had a phenomenal first half and is on his way to 30 homers and 100 RBIs and is currently hitting .287 with an .870 OPS. Austin Riley had a great first half, but again, the Atlanta Braves representation is a little bit out of control, and I do believe Steer has been slightly better and probably deserved a spot on this All-Star team. Number 6, Josh Naylor, Cleveland Guardians. Up next is first baseman Josh Naylor, who hasn't made an All-Star team in his career. He's hitting .298 this year with 11 bombs, and the vast majority of his offensive stats have been better than Vlad Jr., who made the All-Star team as a reserve first baseman. Naylor is 6th in all of baseball with 61 runs driven in, and with his .817 OPS and clutch hitting this year, Naylor certainly earned a spot on the All-Star roster, but alas, he is left off. Number 5, Joe Ryan, Minnesota Twins. A couple recent rough outings have hurt his ERA, but Joe Ryan has been one of the better starters in the American League, especially when the All-Star selections first dropped. At the moment, he's 8-5 with a 3.42 ERA. He does have a shutout this year. He has an impressive 114 strikeouts in 102.2 innings of work while walking just 16. Apart from those bad outings I mentioned, he has been lights out this year, and he has been monumental in helping the Twins keep a record just above 500, but strong enough in their division for first place. Number 4, Matt McLain, Cincinnati Reds. Another Red snub. Matt McLain has been tearing it up all year to the tune of a .295 batting average and .880 OPS. Unfortunately, some of the time he was tearing it up this year was in AAA when he hit .348 in 38 games for Louisville, but unfortunately that doesn't count towards his MLB All-Star worthiness. But in his first 47 games this year at the big league level, he produced a 1.8 WAR. Along with Steer and Friedl, he has been a key member of this hot Reds team who have overtaken the NL Central, and as of now, only the Reds closer Alexis Diaz has secured a spot on the All-Star team. Number 3, Masataka Yoshida, Boston Red Sox. In his rookie year, Yoshida is currently ranked 6th in batting average in the entire major leagues and has driven in 42 runs with an .860 OPS. He has been hands down one of the best players in baseball this year and could be on his way to winning a Rookie of the Year. Yoshida is hitting .312 with a .380 on base, 9 homers, 18 doubles, and 27 walks. And there have been multiple names that made the team who I believe Yoshida has outperformed. He's even been solid defensively, even though that was a concern initially. So Yoshida has done his part, even though the Red Sox as an overall team have not, and he definitely deserves to be on the All-Star team. Number 2, Ketel Marte, Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm not sure how Ozzie Albies, another Atlanta Brave, made the All-Star team over Ketel Marte, whose offensive contributions have helped the D-backs outperform everyone in the West, including the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants in 2023, and they've been holding down first place in the West thanks in large part to Marte, who's hitting .285 with 15 bombs, 44 RBIs, and an .867 OPS. His batting average is 26 points better than Albies. He has a better OPS, better WAR, the same amount of steals, and the only thing Albies has on Marte is a mere 4 more home runs. Yet Albies, who's had a great year, makes the team over Marte, who got absolutely snubbed. Number 1, Carlos Estevez, Los Angeles Angels. And coming in as my number 1 2023 All-Star snub is Carlos Estevez, who has been one of the top closers in the game, is currently one of 7 pitchers in the entire league with at least 20 saves, and of those 7, only 2 have a better ERA. And Estevez has a 1.85 ERA, 21 saves, 42 strikeouts in 34 innings. And what should have made him a complete lock for the All-Star game is the fact that he's the only closer in the American League with 0 blown saves. He has not blown a save this year, and he has an ERA under 2 with over 20 saves and got left off the roster. And I'm not sure how to explain that one. He should have been the replacement pick probably before George Kirby, who's been great for the M's. Don't get me wrong, but Estevez needs to be on this All-Star team. And that does it for my top 10 MLB All-Star snubs of 2023. I threw a bunch of honorable mentions out there, and I know there are plenty more. Let me know who else got completely snubbed out of this year's All-Star game. And like I said, there will probably be more replacements, but as of now, these are my thoughts. Put yours down below, and thank you so much for checking out the video. Don't forget to go check out FOCO and get yourself a 2023 MLB All-Star bobblehead. Let FOCO know that Humm Baby Baseball sent you, and I really do appreciate all of your support. We will talk to you next time.